called the name of our show is Perception versus Reality. So what we try to do is give you every week. We're gonna try to give you the perception of something and show you the reality of the situation. You know, because even though they always tell us that perception is reality, we all know that it's really not. But people perceive things one way and it's really not that. So the perception versus reality stat of the week this week is gonna cover Tony Romo. So Tony Romo is one of them guys that I've always been a big fan of, and he's one of those guys where everybody always perceives him as being this choke, can't get the job done. Dallas, had a terrible quarterback during his reign. He wasn't that good. He was this, he was that. It was just all bad things. But people never looked at the great things that he did. People never looked at how the Cowboys wasted so many of his years. So let's get into our PvR sports stat of the week.
Tony Romo was definitely one of the best Cowboys of all time. He's not going to have the rings of Troy Aikman or even Roger Staubach, but he deserves to be in the conversation of greatest Cowboy.
Tony Romo is one of the great misunderstood players of NFL history.
Dang it!
When Romo's in the game and he's playing like he can play, it's a tough time to beat him because he makes magic happen.
So that was a little bit, people talking about Tony Romo and the Dallas and with the Dallas football team. Now let's go into this. Tony Romo, as a starter, was 80-48 with the Dallas Cowboys. He was number 4 when he retired in quarterback rating with a 97.1 rating. That was only behind Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and I think it was Peyton Manning, if I'm not mistaken, or somebody like that. Or I think it was Matt Ryan, because Peyton Manning's rating was a little lower. Tony Romo, in his last 21 starts for Dallas, was 17-4. Had 43 touchdowns and only 16 interceptions in those last 21 games with Dallas, and that does not include the one playoff win he had in his last 17 games, and the one that he was cheated out of. It was a catch. And in 2014, Tony Romo was second in the MVP voting. He was 12-2 that year. In the 2 games he didn't play, Dallas lost both of those games. He had a 70% completion percentage, 3,700 yards passing that year, 34 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. A lot of people felt like he should have won the MVP that year. Although Aaron Rodgers had a good year, I think Romo had a better year. So I started researching some of the fourth quarter numbers. And in one-score games in the fourth quarter from 2011 to 2016, Romo was number 1. He had 20 touchdowns in those situations. He had 64 completion percentage and a 99.5 quarterback rate. Just to put that into perspective, Tom Brady was number 2. He had 16 touchdowns, 4 less than Tony Romo. He had a 60% completion percentage, 4 percentage points lower than Romo, and he had a 90.2 quarterback rate, 9.3 points lower than Tony Romo's quarterback rate, and that was for one-score games in the fourth quarter from 2011 to 2016. And from 2006 to 2015, Tony Romo led the NFL with the most fourth quarter comebacks with 24. Tom Brady had 18 through that same span, and Peyton Manning had 20 in second place throughout that same span. From 2011 to 2015, Romo led the NFL in game-winning drives with 15. And from 2011 to 2013, the Cowboys lost 7 games when Romo gave them the lead with 5 minutes or less left remaining in the game. And we missed the playoffs by 1 game in all 3 of those seasons. And we had 7 games where we had 5 with 5 minutes or less remaining in the game. Romo had the lead for the Cowboys. And, we always talk about, like Tony Romo not being clutch or not being good or not being as good as Dak or anybody else. In Romo prime years, 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013. Those are 4 prime years that in his career that he missed the playoffs. And in those years, they had the 31st ranked defense and the 16th ranked run team. They had the 18th ranked defense and the 18th ranked run offense in the NFL. They had the 24th ranked defense in 2012 and the 31st ranked run offense in the NFL. In 2013, they had the 19th ranked defense and the 23rd ranked run. So most of those prime years, he didn't even have a great running game, and his defense was pretty much shit most of those games. And he still was getting the Cowboys within 1 game of the division or 1 game of the playoffs. But without any help, he couldn't really get over the hump. And if you look at Romo's career, he's had 3 seasons where he had a top 10 running game on offense to help him carry the load. And in those 3 seasons, in 2006, he went 13-3. In 2009, he went 11-5 and won the first round playoff game and lost in the divisional round. And in 2014, he went 12-2 that year, and they made it to the divisional round where they were cheated out of the Packers game. So in the 3 years that he actually had a good running game, so Dak has been in the league for 4 years, and all 4 years he's had the luxury of having a top 5 running game all 4 years. Romo had that 3 times in over 11 years, and in those 3 years he won a division, he won a playoff game, and he made it to the divisional round. Couldn't get over the hump, but he made it there. So you could say the Cowboys wasted 7 years of a great quarterback that possibly could have been a Hall of Famer had they put a tough team around him. So perception, Tony Romo is weak. Tony Romo is not clutch. He's a choke. He can't really get the job done. Reality, Tony Romo is one of the most clutch quarterbacks in NFL history, probably top 10, top 15. So thank you for listening. That was the PvR stat of the week. Liam, before we go, do you want to add anything to that? Do you want to comment off that, what I just said?
No, you ended on a good note right there. You ended on a good note.
Yeah, what was your thoughts on Romo? So the people can know.
I think he didn't have a team, and they didn't be. Jerry Jones really struggled with building a team during his time, so he didn't have everything he needed to win. It seems like Stephen Jones took over as far as the drafting and the GM moves. But it just seemed like Tony Romo didn't have the players around him. Especially the running game. They drafted Ezekiel Elliott for Tony Romo, actually.
Yep, sure did.
So
stay healthy.
Yep, for her healthy. So, it's just one of those things, man. It just goes to show. If you go look at Tony Romo numbers and Troy Aikman numbers, it's not even close. But you go look at Troy Aikman team and Tony Romo team, and there you go. So, look how it happens, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, Liam, for joining me today.